There's no such thing as sight reading, but there is such thing as technical development. And that takes time, patience, and lots of repetition. So you can become musically literate, but that is not a substitute for developing your technique. Music literacy is a tool that will speed up the process, but if you want to actually be able to play the music on your instrument, you can't skip over the technical practice. Music literacy is not a substitute for that. I could read a trombone part. If you gave me a trombone part, I could look at that trombone part and I would recognize the scales and the chords, the arpeggios. And I would know in my head melodically what those are going to sound like because I would recognize them. I know what major and minor scales sound like. I could recognize those rhythms. I can imagine in my head what they're going to sound like. I could read the part. But I wouldn't be able to play it because I don't know how to play the trombone. I had a student a few years ago named Jared, and he was a trombone player, still is, outstanding musician, one of the most talented students that have ever come through here. And he came to me he was in high school by the time he came to me, and he had trombone teachers in the past. And so he was familiar and was very proficient in the technique of playing the trombone, but he came to me for the literacy, the theory, the improvisation part, which is pretty much universal for any instrument. And within about a year, he went from being a very good top band all-region player to being second chair in the all-state orchestra by combining literacy with his developed technique. And I think if you talk to him today, he would tell you that the literacy is what gave him the edge, especially on an instrument like the trombone. If you look at the line and you can imagine in your head what it's going to sound like before you play it, based on the context of the melody of the scale and chords, then that predictability is going to eliminate pitch problems and response problems and speed up the whole process. But he didn't do the literacy in a vacuum. The technique was already there. The reason I'm focusing on literacy here is because that seems to be where the deficiency is. Every other music teacher I know focuses on technique with their students. And most of these teachers are extremely good at it. They're very, very effective. Over the years, I've had many students that have come to me that had studied with other teachers in the past, and the majority of them came to me with extremely proficient technique. But none of them were musically literate. None of them knew how to read music beyond just single note recognition. And all of them thought that they were just inherently bad sight readers, when the reality was that they just did not know how to read music effectively. So if you want to learn how to read, you have to learn how to spell. But if you actually want to be able to play the song, you can't skip the technique part. Literacy is not a substitute for physical practice. It's a tool to speed up the process. My name is Mark Dooley. I've been a private music teacher for 36 years, focused on practical theory and music literacy. If you'd like to hear more, follow me. If you'd like lessons, contact me. If you can learn how to read words, you can learn how to read music.